Welcome to the Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts.
You're listening all across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 depending on where you are, or you can listen to us through our Faith FM app wherever you are in the world.
And if you are listening live, today is Tuesday, the 10th of February, 2026. I'm in the studio with, of course, Lindsay. You have heard her voice already, and producer Shell sitting at the production desk. Good morning to you, producer Shell.
Good morning to you as well, Skafy.
Thank you very much. I have a gratitude to share, and my gratitude today is about the plan of redemption.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yesterday, I have had the privilege of studying the Bible with a friend of mine, and the topic was the plan of redemption. And we were just going through the Bible verses that talk about, what sin is, the consequences, and how God designed and saved us from that quagmire of sin, of death, of eternal death. And as I was rereading all of these passages in that order, that theme around the Bible, I think that the Holy Spirit just really touched my heart and really made me be grateful afresh for the gift of salvation. One big insight that I have had this time, I have had it before, but you know how the Bible says in John 3:16, for God so loved the world?
Yeah.
We often just read this as God so loved, as in, oh, God loved you so much, with big intensity. But the actual passage, this God loved the world, God so loved the world, is pointing back to Moses lifting up the serpent in the desert. So it's kind of saying, God loved you in this way. He was willing to be humiliated, to be ashamed, to be made into the image of sin, to be crucified, all of these things. This is how much he loved. He not just loved you a lot, but, kept a few things back. He actually loved us to the point of being exposed to shame, to rejection, to abandonment, to exposure, to suffering, to torture, to even risking his own eternal salvation. This is how much he loved us. And I was just really taken aback in a good way. I was like embarrassed even for how much he actually loved me. So that was an incredible reminder of the love of God.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, what about you? What are you grateful for?
Look, along similar lines, I have just had an experience with God the last few days where I have been feeling, pretty just down about some things, and God has reached out and not been making me feel bad about the sinful state that I'm in, but rather giving me encouragement and showing me that I just need to look to him and that he will give me the strength to live for him and not be stuck in the accusation and the lies of the enemy. So, yeah, God is so good.
Yeah, amen. Praise the Lord for that one. It's so nice when when you can really feel that God is so patient with us.
Yeah, so patient,
and
so good.
Instead of, it's kind of pointing the finger and screaming, he actually is gently leading us towards him. Well, coming up in our show today, we have Joseph and his brothers meeting in Egypt, and Joseph testing his brothers. This is where we are going to be going for. Later today, we're going to be talking about the prison of a religious freedom advocate.
Okay.
So that's going to be an interesting story. Also, we're going to be looking at the story of llamas that helped to catch a robber in someone's property. And in our interview today, we are going to have Brad Moody. Brad is going to be talking to us about why did some prophets command people to divorce their wives? Is that a thing? Well, you'll find out later today.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
I'm wondering if we can have some light from the scriptures with producer Shell opening up with a new quiz question. The first one of today's show.
True or false?
False.
Like a 50% chance.
Alrighty.
For some reason, I feel like I shouldn't tell you if you're right or wrong right now.
Don't tell me. I'm throwing a bit of a Lawson. Remember when Lawson used to guess before the answer was there? Okay,
According
to Paul in 1 Corinthians 3, Jesus Christ is the foundation of a person's spiritual life, but some people try to build their foundation on gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, straw instead. Is this true or not? We have correct answers in the studio. How about you? Do you know the correct answer? 0491-064-669. Text us in what you think. You got a 50-50 chance. Is this true or false? According to Paul in 1 Corinthians 3, Jesus Christ is the foundation of a person's spiritual life, but some people try to build their foundation on gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, and straw instead. Is that true?
Good question, Producer Shah. If it's true or not, we'll find out very soon. And we are now going to open our Bible in Genesis chapter 42. Yesterday, Lindsay, Shal, and I got started with the pilgrimation of Joseph's brothers all the way from the land of Canaan into Egypt in search for a morsel, for something to eat. Yes, for just something to eat. And as they got there, Joseph threw this really strange act. We were trying to discuss why was Joseph, once he recognized his brothers, why was he testing them? What was the purpose, And we mentioned that I think that Joseph was really trying to get more information.
Yeah.
He didn't just want his brothers to come and go. So Joseph had two options here. A couple of options here, possibilities. Possibility number one, he would just ignore the past, let them buy the grain, go back home, never to see them again, move on. Joseph was not a fan of that option.
No.
He's a family guy.
Yeah, true.
He wanted to know more about his father. He actually wanted to know about his younger brother.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I think, Producer Shell, that Joseph himself was wondering, why are there only 10 of my brothers here? What happened to Benjamin? Did they do to Benjamin the same thing
exactly
they've done to me?
Yeah.
He wanted to find out.
Definitely.
And he needed a way to find out. And we also talked about that being a military interrogation technique is which when you're accusing someone of something and you are raising up the tone a little bit, people crack up.
Yeah.
I know because I have cracked up.
Have you?
Yes, actually this has been, I have met people that knew this. I do not know if consciously or unconsciously. And you know how when people put you against the wall, you're under pressure and you start just like releasing sometimes even too much information?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you, my dear friend?
Probably, yeah.
Definitely has happened to me. And actually many times I would rehearse these episodes and say, God, next time, please, I want to get the self-control
Help
from
me
you.
to shut my mouth and keep it shut.
There is kind of like the Miranda laws.
Okay.
You know what the Miranda laws is? The Miranda
anything
clause?
that you say will be used against you or whatever.
Yeah. So there's a reason why, particularly in the United States, we have the equivalent of a Miranda law in Australia. I forgot the name of the law, but it has a very similar thing. And there is a reason why when, some people get interrogated, they can say something like, I want a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to use my rights to stay silent.
Sure.
Because sometimes when you are in that fire, when you're pushed against the wall, you're not really thinking correctly. I'm for sure, I'm one of these people that I need some time to think through things.
Yeah.
I cannot just think on the spot, really clever answers to things.
Yeah.
Often, sometimes when I think about something that I should say, it's sometimes like 1-2 days later after the event. I have a bit of a turtle brain.
Yeah, same.
Are you just like
the
me?
amount of times that I think back to, a heated conversation where, I just sounded dumb. And then I think back, man, I could have said this, I could have said that. And then I'm kind of glad that I have a turtle brain or whatever you want to call it, because then you're like, well, at least I didn't say something that was overly hurtful in that moment, which I could have if I was smarter. But let's just leave it at what it has been said.
Yeah. So I think that Joseph is really trying to do this with his brethren. And he really he's really trying to figure out, okay, what happened to Benjamin? This is why, he's putting them on the spot, and he will request them, actually bring them here. By the way, let me tell you this. One of the most interesting books that I read, it's not a Christian book, but I highly recommend it, even for Christians, anyone really to read. It's a book called Never Split the Difference.
Okay.
By Chris Voss. Chris Voss was a renowned FBI hostage negotiator.
Okay.
And so he built his career on talking to the most toxic people on planet Earth, aka terrorists, kidnappers, bank robbers, these kinds of, people.
Man.
And he learned how to talk to them in a productive way so that he could get hostages released.
Oh.
So it is
What
a very
skill to
interesting.
have.
It's a very interesting skill, and then he uses his experience to teach you everyday negotiation skills.
Sure.
I've used those skills. There's one time that I saved, I think, $25,000 just by using these newly acquired skills. So they paid off. That book was paid off multiple times.
Yeah,
already
wow.
For me, if it was just for that negotiation.
You're being held hostage 25,000 and no
Yeah,
longer.
I wasn't being held hostage, but it was in a bit of a tight negotiation thing.
Sure, good job.
But one of the things that he teaches, and he talks about this episode where he goes to Harvard for their business school, and he talks to the head of the negotiation studies. And the head of the negotiation studies, he comes to him and he wants to kind of play a game and says, "Look, I have your daughter. She's kidnapped. I want $1 million for her release." And he just wanted to see what he was going to say. And Chris Voss kind of knew it. I think that so far that Harvard teacher never really got anyone giving a good answer to that question. Chris Voss said something that he actually learned with a gangster, actually.
Okay.
Back in the days. And the question that he asked one question and he already won the game. And the question that he asked is, how do I know that she's alive? And of course, he couldn't produce anything. And of course, that became a staple in hostage negotiation situations where, you have to prove that that person is even alive. How do I even know that you even have them? Because it could be a scam.
That's true.
And Joseph is doing this. He's asking to the brethren. He's not satisfied. He knew that they were liars. They lied about Joseph. How could Joseph trust anything that the 10 brothers had to say?
I mean, considering the last experience he had with him was
That's right.
pretty bad character showing.
So he wanted to know the well-being of his brother Benjamin. This is why he says, "Bring him.
Yeah.
Prove to me that he's alive." That's why I am. So he used that whole "you are spies motif."
Yeah.
He was well within his rights as Prime Minister of Egypt to suspect that from them.
Yeah.
But so I don't think that, I really genuinely think that he does not know that his brethren have been transformed. And he does not know what happened to Benjamin.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm imagining he's seeing them for the first time and he's just having flashbacks of 20 years or so before when he saw them last and they threw him in a well and then they dragged him out and then they sold him, and like he's just experiencing all those feelings coming up and like being like brought back to the moment of trauma, and the emotions are starting to show. He's in public and he's just starting to say whatever first comes to mind that also happens to fit a narrative that could work, right? He's there interviewing people so that people aren't going to come and steal from Egypt. And so that's a really good cover for him to use in this moment. Yeah. And then he also sees, hey, where's the baby brother who is also a son of the favorite wife? Like, I was sold because I was the son of the favorite wife and a bit of a brat, but anyway. But then the youngest brother, where's he? Have they done the same thing to him? Are they still the same, murderous people that they once were? Has anything changed? Because, like, maybe if nothing's changed, then I don't want them around. Maybe they are still absolutely criminals and they should stay where they are and still not get fed. Or if they have changed in any sense, if Benjamin is alive, if everything's going okay and everything is just what they say, then I want to look after them. I want them to come and be with me, but I don't know yet. I don't know where they are at spiritually and emotionally, and I need to know and I need to test them before any
closure.
decisions can be made going forward.
You need some closure. And you know what? I think that one part of that story that is it's so ironic is that when they are telling the truth, like he's pressing them to tell the truth, and then they say, your servants, I know we were telling the truth. We are the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. This is verse 13. And behold, the youngest with our father today, and one is no longer alive. He didn't want to say, and one we sold as a slave to the Egyptians, because then this authority will say, man, you got what? I mean, aren't you embarrassed of that? Like, you sold one of your brothers to Egypt? Like, you are terrorists.
But like the story that they've been telling, the lie that they've been living for 20 years is that he's dead. Remember, that's what they told their dad. So that's the story that they have to go with.
And they were totally believing it. But this is the thing now. They were telling that story to the wrong guy.
Yeah, they were lying to his face, and he knew all about that story.
And you know what? I think this is us with God sometimes. I think that sometimes, we tell ourselves story, particularly about the things that we are supposed to feel guilty about, but we somehow acquit ourselves in the wrong way. We create stories, we create narratives to say we were not wrong. Something happened, that was not my responsibility. I was, just a victim there. And sure, there are moments that we are victims, and I don't want to discount that. But I think that a lot of times we made ourselves victims when we are not. And we lie to God. And by lying to God, we end up lying to ourselves. And we're thinking that, imagine how embarrassing it would have been to the brethren of Joseph if they knew that this was Joseph, and they're saying that, that one is no longer alive. And yet, this is what we do to God. This is why in our relationship to God, there is no point in sugarcoating the pill, in making yourself appear less sinful than you actually are.
Yeah.
Actually, with God, the only way that God can actually work with us if we are brutally honest with
radically
God.
honest about what's going
radically
on for
honest. It's kind of like the mirror therapy. Have you heard about the mirror therapy before? This is a David Goggins thing.
Mirror therapy.
Mirror therapy. So basically,
he
he sees himself in the mirror every night, and he looks at the mirror, and he tells himself exactly what is wrong with him. He doesn't mince words. So, for example, if he's overweight, he says, you are fat, or I am fat, and I need to do something about it.
Okay.
Or if you are in a leadership position and you realize that you're not that great leader that you're painting yourself to be, you can say, I'm a horrible leader and I need to do something about it.
Wow.
Or you can say, my relationship with God is God is not my priority in my life. I say this to everyone, but I'm looking at the mirror and say, God, you're not you're clearly not my priority. Yeah. I need to do something about it. So the purpose of that is actually to come to God and really be honest. Just like the tax collectors say, God have mercy on me, I am a sinner. The tax collectors did not like to see themselves as sinners.
This is so interesting. Like, God calls us to be, to seek him with our whole heart, right? How can we seek him with our whole heart if we don't actually know what's in it? If we're not honest with ourselves about who we are and what's going on for us? How can we invite God into our lives and into our mess if we're not even going to be honest with ourselves about it? So that's a really good, I like that mirror therapy.
It is. And look, the reality is, in whatever step of a Christian journey that you are going to be able to look at yourself and see what's wrong. Actually, I would even go further. If you're looking inside of yourself, you're not seeing anything wrong, you're blind. You're spiritually blind. You need to have you need to ask God to help you reveal in me, oh God, the iniquity that is in me. That there's even a prayer, a standard prayer for that. You run that command on your computer and God will bring things to your mind. Because the closer we get to Jesus, the smaller we will appear before our own eyes. The more sinful we will appear before our own eyes. This is actually a paradox. The paradox of holiness, or the paradox of sanctity, which is, the more we look like Jesus, the more we become like him, the further away we realize that we are from him.
the more we get an understanding of how good and amazing and like perfect he is, the more that we can like glance at ourselves and be like, oh, I am not that thing and I need more of Jesus.
That's right. It's kind of like mountains. You know, if you look at a mountain at the distance, you can say, oh, it's a cute, beautiful little mountain. It doesn't look that big. Then you try to climb it. And you realize, or you're standing at the foot of the mountain, it's like, man, this thing is massive.
Yeah.
And this is what happens in spiritual life as well.
Yeah.
By the way, if you are enjoying this Bible study, we're looking at the book of Genesis. Look how many rich applications we can make. We haven't gone 2 verses in the story yet, and there's so much more to unpack.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We are looking to the story of Joseph, but before we go on, before we proceed, Producer Shell wanted us to know if something was true or false. So Producer Shell, can you please give us the answer?
Whatever is true, whatever is honest, right? We're sticking with that theme we learned about yesterday. So I didn't give you any falsehood this morning. So the 1 Corinthians 3:11-12 is definitely about Jesus is the foundation of a person's spiritual life. Some people choose to not accept that because they would rather have tangible things that they can see in the moment, like gold and silver and costly stones, and don't realize that he's the most tangible thing of all.
I love that verse. It was fresh in my mind. Did you know why?
Why?
Because I just taught that to the children in my Bible class on the Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
We actually made a fun experiment with it.
Yeah.
We made 3 kinds of houses. I bought some sugar cubes.
Okay.
So a couple of kids had to do like a sugar cube house.
Yeah.
Then I also got some marshmallows and toothpicks. So some of the kids were building toothpick marshmallow houses. And another kid was building a Lego house.
Okay.
And then I got some warm water pretending to be the rains.
Yeah.
And then I poured on these 3 buildings, and I was asking the kids what's going to happen. They were looking, to their shock and horror, the hours of their work of their sugar cube houses and their marshmallow house. They were just all dissolving. And I'm telling them, this is what happens when we do not have Jesus as our foundation.
Oh, man.
The Lego house is like having that firm foundation. The only foundation where we can really rely on as far as our life goes is Jesus. The rest, it's frail. They are going to fail at some point. Maybe they're not failing now, but they will.
There you go.
Producer Shell, do you have another quiz question, please, for us?
But of course. How did Jesus reveal the one who would betray him? How did Jesus reveal the one who would betray him? This answer can be found in the book of John. We have a correct answer from Lindsay already. 0491064669.
I think we had a very similar question to this sometime last year, and I gave a slightly incorrect word last year, and I learnt from it, and I've given the correct word.
See, that's what it's all about. That's what the quiz is all about. So it helps it to stick.
I've honed it even closer.
That's right. When you try and succeed, just because you already know it, but when you try and fail, you will then know it for the next time.
That is a hectic story, that one. So sad, but at the same time, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus' betrayal. So how did Jesus reveal the person who was going to betray him? If you do know the answer to that one, 0491064669 is the number to text. Lindsay.
Skafy.
Let's read here, please, verse 15 onwards, because things are picking up here. We are picking up some steam.
Okay, Genesis 42, verse 15. It says, "In this manner you shall be tested." So this is Joseph speaking to them.
Yeah.
It is as I spoke to you, saying, "You are spies. In this manner you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you, and let him bring your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be tested to see whether there is any truth in you, or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." So he put them all together in prison 3 days.
Yes. So basically Joseph said, look, one of you go back, bring your brother here, and then in the meantime, I am going to keep the rest of you in prison. And you know what? 3 days later, they were all still there. Nobody volunteered to go and leave the others behind. Why do you think was that?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that this is the start of the beginning to show that they were together in this. Maybe they couldn't just make that decision, or maybe they said, no, we're sticking together. We're sticking together. There's no point for us to go there to bring it back down. What is Father going to say? It's better, let's spare him all that. Let's just stay together. I do not know.
I have a feeling that Joseph probably put his brothers in prison 3 days to symbolically represent the 3 years that he spent in prison himself. And also just to give him a few minutes to cool down, a couple of days just to, all right, I've just seen them and I freaked out and I chucked my brothers in prison. I'm just going to leave them for a minute while I just sort myself out and calm down as well.
And look, to be fair, maybe they thought, look, it's ludicrous to go back by ourselves in this terrible and long and dangerous journey from Egypt to the land of Canaan. What about supplies? What about defense? It's very risky. So I think they're saying, look, guess we're just going to have to stay here. And actually, Joseph, he felt that he was a bit too heavy-handed because he's going to change his mind.
Yeah.
He was too heavy-handed. And he conceded that.
Yeah.
Let's read verse 18. Look how interesting.
Then Joseph said to them the third day, do this and live, for I fear God.
Pause. Just a pause. Do this and live, for I fear God.
Ooh.
I fear God. Joseph is starting to reveal a little bit of himself to them. This was something that these siblings of Joseph were probably not expecting. We are here in Egypt at the seat of foreign gods and paganism, and now you have someone that fears God, like the God of heaven.
Do you know from the Hebrew what word he used there?
I fear Elohim.
Elohim. Okay. So it's not like Yahweh specifically.
No.
It's a God.
Yes, but Elohim.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not saying I fear Horus or
No,
I fear,
but Elohim
fear Ra.
could refer to any deity in that time.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So it could, it'd be interesting to see how it was received.
And particularly that word,
ears.
God-fearing, because this is the word that the Jews use to particularly to refer to non-Jews that worship Jehovah.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's see. Verse 19.
Verse 19 says, if you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house. But you go and carry grain for the famine of your houses, and bring your youngest brother to me, so your words will be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so.
Yeah. So basically, Joseph said, look, let's just change the plans here. You all go back, take the stuff back to your homes. You have families, you have kids. They're starving. It is a dangerous journey. Just leave one of you here as a collateral, as surety, as a guarantee. Go back and bring your youngest brother with you. So let's see verse 21.
Verse 21 says, then they said to one another, we are truly guilty concerning our brother, for we saw the anguish of his soul when he pleaded with us, and we would not hear. Therefore, this distress has come upon us. Oh, they feel like they've cursed themselves.
Yeah. And Joseph was listening to all of this. Imagine how hard it would have been to be listening to this. But you see how this unresolved guilt has been haunting them?
Haunting them.
For all of these years, these decades.
Yeah. Everything
that would happen to them negatively, they would look back and say, look, it's because of what we've done to Joseph. They haven't confessed their sins. They haven't even confessed it to God. They haven't done anything to repair it. Over the years, they could have done so many different things. They could try to buy Joseph back. They could, try to go to Egypt and try to redeem, but they didn't, and they were living with this guilt. It's one of the worst things that can happen is to live with guilt.
Yeah.
Have you ever lived with guilt or have you harbored guilt for a long period of time? How was that experience?
Yeah, I remember as a kid feeling like I was just so guilty all the time. And I remember the first time that Grace was like spelled out in a church service. It was like a youth drama. And I remember that first time just feeling so much relief that I was no longer stuck under this guilt that I'd been holding onto for years. Like from like under the age of 10 to about the age of, 13 or something, I was just feeling so oppressed by feelings of guilt and sin, right? And yeah, getting to hear about God's grace really just lifted that load off me.
That is nice. Look, I am very sensitive to guilt. I think this is actually not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. I thank God for that.
Yeah.
Because if I do something, let's say I damaged something that does not belong to me, or I get so tormented in my own brain saying, Joseph, what are you doing? Why are you hiding things? Why are you not telling the truth? What is God going to think of you? And so on. I always ended up really fessing up.
Yeah.
So I am terrible about hiding things or lying, which now I have this as actually a good thing in my spiritual life. I'm actually happy. I prefer to be this way than to be
blasé
than to be like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have that conviction of, hey, you have done something wrong and something needs to change. Like if you're walking through life and you think there's nothing wrong with you, then you've got something big that's wrong with your ability to recognize reality.
And sometimes that gets me in trouble, actually, because there's a bad thing to it as well. And the bad thing to it is that there's two things. One is false guilt. I tend to feel a lot of false guilt, meaning feeling guilty for something that I said or done because I might have, in one out of a million possibility, offended you or caused you down. And then I come and I apologize. Actually, I have apologized to you, but sometimes I have to go back and say, hey, no, I don't actually need to apologize for this in particular. Is
that like a people-pleasing kind of
thing? A people-pleasing thing.
Yeah.
Almost like, as a people-pleasing thing that I'd never want to offend or be disagreeable with anyone. So this is something that I have. There's a couple of times that I've done, actually to you, producer Shell, I've said certain things that I said, oh man, I could have been more soft or this and that. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just call Shell and apologize. And I was just like, you know what? Like, no. I will not do this because I haven't said anything wrong.
Man,
here.
you and I are very different. I'll just so rough.
I will not give in to that because this is also not good. It's not good if you're always apologetic.
Yeah.
Always asking, I'm sorry. I have some friends that are like that. I mean, anything that they do is like 100 I'm sorry. Say, look, I don't also want to be like that.
Yeah.
But also with my wife, I had this problem because you know how I mentioned, like, I get the guilt and I want to do it straight away.
Yeah.
Sometimes let's say I've done something wrong in my interactions with my wife, my beloved wife, and like 10 minutes later, I realize, man, I'm wrong here. I have to apologize, at least from my part. At least for my part. Because sometimes, there's, you say, oh, but she did it, but she said that. I'm responding to it. But say, no, I'm just going to apologize for my part. I'm not even going to expect her to apologize for her.
Yeah.
She's going to do my part. And I come down, and you're just like, and she looks at, and my wife is different from me in that, like, she takes her time processing things. She needs a little bit more time to process what happened. Whereas for me, just 10 minutes, I came to her and say, hey, wife, look, I just want to apologize for my part. I done this. I did this wrong. I did say this to hurt you, and I shouldn't have done this. I'm sorry. And then she looks at me and said, what? You're just saying this to appease me. You're not really sorry. Like, you didn't even have enough time to be sorry about it.
Yeah,
no, I have
had time to think about it.
By now, I think she realizes that, look, this is a pattern. It's like, no, I actually have. I realized.
Yeah.
And I do not want to live with that guilt 1 second longer than necessary. I'm apologizing. If you believe that it's not genuine or not, okay, look.
So, because
nothing I can control, but I'm just telling you it is genuine.
So she gets pretty skeptical.
She gets skeptical
because it takes a lot longer for her than for you.
And for me, it's just so quickly. It's just like, man, what? Like, where's your repentance? Where's your sorrowness? Just like realize that I've done something wrong and I'm apologizing.
That's so funny.
So sometimes I think for the next time I do something wrong and say, look, I will put in a timer. Okay, I have already repented. I'm already ready to, but I'll just wait a little bit longer.
Give her a few more minutes
so
to
that
think about
it will not only be genuine, but it was also going to appear more genuine. And I have to practice a bit of a sad face in the mirror.
Oh man, you're overthinking it.
Sometimes I'm a bit just too rational, too emotionless.
Oh dear.
Anyway, let's get back here. to the story of Joseph.
Where
here.
were we?
We're talking about living with guilt.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this one, I can say like Paul, look, be like Skafy. Just don't take too long. The Bible says, do not let the sun set
On your anger.
on your anger, or I would say on your guilt as well. Just like go in and, you know, maybe if you don't want to be as quick as I am, maybe there's some wisdom in that. Don't be as quick. But hey, the lesson is don't harbor in to guilt for a long time. It's actually going to
bad
rot
for
your
your health.
bones
Yeah.
to the core.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to
Verse
keep
22.
reading?
Just read
Goes,
that, verse 22.
And Reuben, one of the oldest brother, answered them, saying, Did I not speak to you, saying, Do not sin against the boy, and you would not listen? Therefore, behold, his blood is now required of us.
Oh, there you go. There's the blame shifting there. This
Didn't
is
I tell
Mr.
you this would happen?
Yeah, this is Mr. I told you so. Right
Yeah.
in action here. If you thought that I told you so is something new in human history,
no.
well, we've been living with I told you so's for like at least 6,000 years.
Yeah.
In verse 23.
But they did not know that Joseph understood them, for he spoke to them through an interpreter.
Wow. And then let's read verse 24, and I think we can.
And he turned himself away from them and wept. Then he returned to them again and talked with them. And he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. So he goes off and he cries. He's like listening. He's all emotional. He's touched by this. He has to take himself out of the room and have a good old sook and just weep and howl and have his, eyeliner go everywhere because, the Egyptians wore that thick black eyeliner, right? So he has to clean himself back up, come back in, and now he's like all stoic once again. He's like, okay, I've done my crying. I'm going to just grab one of you boys and
I'm going to choose one for you.
And Simeon, wasn't a very nice guy.
No.
He was one of the guys who had murdered the town of Shechem years before. So he was probably one of the more ruthless brothers. And Joseph probably was like, yeah, look, you deserve to sit in prison a bit longer. So,
Yes, as Simeon, it's going to be you.
yeah.
And why Simeon? Well, we're going to explore that next time we study this, which is tomorrow.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We're going to, or no payment. We are going to answer now the quiz question. So, Producer Shao, can you please guide us through the previous quiz question and the answer?
How did Jesus reveal the one who would betray him? Because he dipped a piece of bread and passed it to the individual.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was Judas, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Judas. He didn't want to say the name, but since the disciples were asking and Jesus was of the policy of telling the truth, he says, you want to know who it is? I'm not going to name the name because I don't want to shame, but I'll show you who it is. And it was Judas. Jesus knew from the very beginning that Judas was going to betray him. Judas was not chosen by Jesus, the Bible says. It was chosen by the disciples. The disciples thought, hey, we Jesus, you have this guy. He's so intelligent. He's so, he's so capable, so much so that he was a leader within the disciples. He was the treasurer, but he was stealing from the treasury. His heart was never there.
Yeah.
His heart was never there. But Jesus went along and he allowed it to happen. He respected the decision of his disciples. He empowered them to make that call. But Jesus was very, very, from a long time he saw this coming. He even said to the disciples that one of you is going to betray me.
Yeah.
So he knew that was coming. And the Bible prophesied that, it had to be so. Jesus also had to experience betrayal, betrayal by a close friend so that, we could relate. Very good, Producer Shell. We are still having a great show ahead of us. We're not packing up. We're not disappearing. We're not going anywhere. We actually are going to be talking about a bunch of things, including llamas that catch bad guys. So, do you have a llama? Do you know how to train them to catch bad guys? Well, Lindsay does, and she's going to tell you the step-by-step how to train your llama to get intruders in your home. We're also going to be talking about the prison of a religious freedom and a pro-democracy activist and advocate in Hong Kong. Today. And I think there's some spiritual applications for us in that story.
Okay.
And our interview today at 7:35 is going to be with Brad Moody. He's going to be unpacking some perplexing scriptures in the Bible for us, including why did some prophets order people to get divorced?
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.